Hi, I'm Mary Jo. I have been a registered nurse for over 50 years. I have lost over 100 pounds as a postmenopausal woman, and I've reversed all chronic diseases in my world for the most part. I mean, hypertension gone, eczema gone, upper respiratory chronic infections, pneumonia gone, 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 restless leg syndrome gone. I just can't tell you how much better I feel. No hypertension, no high blood sugars. It's fabulous. And I owe this remarkable capability of transforming my life to nutritional science. Now, the last time around, I talked about food addiction. So, can you be addicted to something that your body requires to nurture itself? And I think the answer is okay, is that what you call food? Or is it some chemical combination that you can easily become addicted to, the same as cocaine? I mean, where do you think Coca Cola's name came from? It came from cocaine. Anyway, I'm not trying to be bad to the Coca Cola people, not at all. Because who doesn't like a little fizz in their life once in a while? That being said, I do believe that when we imbibe in processed foods and any food product that essentially produces a dopamine rush because of rapid ability of that type of food, the macronutrients to rush into the bloodstream. Animal products have no fiber, and when you eat them, amino acids rush into the bloodstream. Oil has no fiber and a lot of calories, and when you eat it, it rushes, I mean, really rushes into the bloodstream because it's a combination of fatty acids, which means it's like pre-digested. I mean, those little molecules just pop on your hips and your abs and your butt, and it's all over with, right? Um, and of course, any high sugar product gives you quite a surge of carbohydrates, of refined sugars that cause a lot of dopamine response. Now, remember, I'm talking candy bars and cakes and cookies that have refined sugars and flours. I mean, even pancakes usually have a refined flour, which operates in the body the same as a refined sugar. Um, a lot of these different foods that I do not call food because they don't nurture the human body at all. They make you feel, woo, kind of good for a moment, but then that's it, guys. And your leftover is chronic disease and being extremely overweight, which is not any fun whatsoever. Um, can you be addicted to actual real food? Now, I've had people, especially on some conference calls, tell me that they are. I had one lady say she was addicted to apples. That I'd be shocked at how many apples she could eat, and I probably would be. So my thought is, if we grew up in a system where we were provided with real whole plant-based food that was highly nutritious, low caloric value, then we wouldn't have this need for this dopamine rush. We wouldn't have this need to eat until we're bloated. I mean, have you ever found that? It's like I'm either hungry or bloated. That's how I used to be, hungry or bloated, one or the other. It was really hard to find anything in between, hungry or bloated. I mean, how can you eat moderately when those are your choices? So foods that are not meant for the human body, for primates, um, can produce this dopamine surge, which produces addiction. Now, like I was saying, if we just had only been exposed to real whole foods, then I doubt any of us would become food addicted. And I doubt the lady who overeats on apples would overeat on apples. I understand just where she's coming from because there are times that I fear. And I think, why are you fearing anything? The kitchen's in the next room if you're really all that hungry. But are you really all that hungry? But I do fear those old time hangry sensations where I am ready to bite into the upholstery. I need food so bad. Now, that's food addiction. That's not really a need to nurture yourself. That's total food addiction. But once you get into a high nutrient plant based diet, you actually found yourself becoming satisfied with this delicious large quantity of foods, and you recognize your body's telling you don't have to eat anymore. I mean, when I ate a highly processed food and meat diet, I was always hungry. I was always getting this hangry sensation, and I hated it. So some of that fear still lingers on from time to time. You have to take any addiction one day at a time. I've had to learn what is the right quantity of food for me to eat. And I don't always require 3 meals. Well, that's kind of a bummer, but I digress. Um, I try to sit and really enjoy the food. Now, that's not to say I'm as mindful as I would like to be, because oftentimes I'll listen to an Instagram, or perhaps I'll read part of a book. But there are more and more times that I just want to sit and really enjoy this delicious food that I have been able to prepare. Isn't that awesome, from my own kitchen? Um, so that another part of this is eating very slowly. I have heard or read, chew 40 times before you even think about swallowing something. Take whatever you're eating and create it by chewing into a liquid. And that does several different things. It majorly helps with digestion. If you chew not enough and you're eating this type of diet, a lot of people will get uncomfortable and bloated. And it's because they're swallowing big boluses of food into their stomach, and your body's like going, my God, look at the 5,000 tons of fiber. And what the heck am I supposed to do with all this? And yes, you'll get an upset stomach. That can happen very, very easily. So, really take the time to chew and enjoy your food. When you do that, especially if you're eating greens and beans, within 20 to 30 minutes, the ilia-brake of your lower intestine will be flooded with nutrients and fiber. And it has, guess what, L cells that create GLP-1. And GLP-1 will go zapping into your bloodstream, and you get the message to your brain: you're not hungry. You can stop eating. And it's just wonderful to feel that way because, like I said, I used to always be hungry no matter what. So, if it's real whole food, can you be whole? Can you still be food addicted if you grew up becoming that way? Yes, you can be. But at least you're making really good choices for yourself. And now you just need to figure out how much is appropriate for me to nourish myself, my spirit, my soul. And I'm getting way better at that. Yes, there's times I make mistakes, or something tastes so good I want another bite of it when I shouldn't. Oh well, we're all human. What can I say? But then again, what's really kind of wonderful is I went to a wedding this week. Now, it was my daughter's second wedding, and I would never take food to a wedding. No. But my daughter called me and she said, Mom, there's nothing you'll want to eat at the reception. And there were like 3 or 4 meat products. Mashed potatoes would be okay, excepting I'm sure they made them with milk and butter. And there was no salad, no vegetables. There were beans. There were baked beans, but they had pork in them. And there were a lot of snacky treats too. The one that would probably be the best one for a plant-based eater would be the popcorn. And the problem with popcorn, though, is I've really gotten funny when there's a lot of salt in something. It really turns me off, and it just makes me gaggy. I just don't like it. Now, my daughter told me all this in advance, and she goes, Mom, I don't want you to be hungry. You get to do whatever you want. There's a refrigerator there. If you want to bring a little food with you, a little dessert with you, you just go right ahead and do so. Well, having been given permission, I made myself a collard wrap with a bean burger and a collard wrap with berries and a few pieces of banana. And then I also created in a moment of weakness. No, it's okay. But I created this bar, and the bottom part is a sweet potato pudding, and the top part was more of a, let's see, sometimes I put chickpea on a chickpea cookie on the top. This one was more of a banana bread with some date chocolate chips in it. And the combination was delicious. Now, I have noticed that that is a very tasty and delectable treat, but maybe it's because I used oat flour already made into oat flour, so it wasn't like when I make my own oat flour, it's not as refined, it's not as thin. But I made this with something I had purchased from the grocery store. It was sprouted grain oat flour, but its food matrix was not there. And I think that's the kind of thing that sometimes makes me feel a little funny that the next day or that evening even. But it was very sweet of her. So one thing I can tell you is I sat in the middle of a fairly lengthy table, so it wasn't easy to get in and out, which is fine. I was given water all evening. Somebody would go grab something to drink and they'd grab water for me. I loved it. Um, if when I got hungry, I had a wrap and I had my banana bread, and I actually told my son I could share with you because I think I brought more than I need. It's really funny because I started to feel hungry. So I thought, well, good. I won't be tempted by different foods here. I'll just stick to my own diet. That's wonderful. I would never do this for someone else's wedding. Just with my daughter and her permission, I did this. Um, and I offered to share with my son because he was disappointed in the lack of salad or vegetables on the menu. And but that's neither here nor there. But I realized as I waited a little bit longer for the people of my table to go to the buffet, I really wasn't all that hungry. So why I ate anything is beyond me, but I did. Probably because I didn't want to be starving at bedtime. That's probably what I was concerned about. So, food addiction. Be prepared. You're going to make mistakes. It's okay. We all make mistakes. We all, recognize another thing I've tried to get more into because I do it and then I don't. I don't know what's wrong with me, but meditation and prayer is like we all need help. And there's this beautiful, universal, divine energy that flows through everything and wants to help us with anything to make our lives as refreshing and as happy as possible. And we get filled with all sorts of ideas that are contrary to that. But when I really meditate, I do some real prayer. I find their help is on the way. If you listen to spiritual leaders, they talk about allowing, allowing the divinity of all that is into your world. And it's something that's such a foreign concept, it takes a little while. But 12-step programs for addiction. What are they doing? They're looking for a higher power. What am I doing? I'm looking for a higher power. And there is help when I require it. I mean, I just went to a bookstore one day and said, I am fat and I am sick and I'm tired of being fat and sick. And I wish there might be something in here that could help me be and do and feel the way I want to. And that's the day. Yes, prayer, meditation before I came. That's the day Dr. Furman's book fell on my sandal foot. and drew my attention to it. And that is the day my life changed. It took a while, yes, but I feel so much better. Even for those days that I do continue to overeat, I still feel overall so much better. When I eat right, right for me, I've started sleeping so much, much better. So, things that I do, my danger time is the evening. This is when food addiction calls to me. I have had this idea that after dinner, you close down the kitchen, you brush your teeth, and that's it. Well, food has been such an important and valuable part of my life up to now that is kind of like I better eat something else because when I close the kitchen, I can't eat anything. Well, you can get really uncomfortable with that frame of mind. So I try to tell myself, after you eat the portion you think is right for you, you need to leave. You need to wait a good half hour. Or if you're still hungry, you can have a little something else. But you really better be hungry because if you're not, then you're overeating. You're social eating. You're not eating because you need it. And when you eat just because your body is requiring it, you feel so much better. So eat to satisfaction, not to fullness. Wait 20, 30 minutes. Are you really all that hungry? Most of the time, you're going to find out you're not. And if there is a time you really didn't eat enough, have a little something. But watch what it is. Something that's really easy on the digestive tract. Like I think of a slice of cantaloupe, a tomato. I'm trying to think of something that's more easily digested than not. May not be the right time for a bean burger or a tempeh salad. That might be too much. But anyway, you'll figure out what works for you. And sometimes all I need to do is go take a bite of pineapple and I'm fine. What was I thinking? I can go do other things. And I love the freedom to go and do other things. In the evening, I try to keep myself nice and busy after dinner. I actually have a yoga mat and I will exercise. I have a power plate. I'll do power plate exercises. I'll do functional balance exercises, just anything to keep myself busy. I have also been known to go ahead and grab a crochet hook and some yarn, and you keep your hands busy, then it's a bother to grab for something to eat. See, works very nicely. So keeping yourself busy, finding other things to do. Here's a big one. Not always easy, especially when you're starting this journey, because food was part of you're good, eat. You deserve it, eat. You succeeded. You better eat more. You didn't succeed. You feel bad. You better eat even more. You know, you come from that kind of constantly eating program of reward. It's like you just don't even know how to behave. So um, it's like finding joy in other things that are not food or included with food. So finding joy in a good book, but not a good book that you can't read without eating. Finding joy in exercise, finding joy in going outdoors. We forget things like sunlight, being in the sunlight and just being outdoors. That place was made for us. And there's something about being outdoors, being in the sun, that just rejuvenates us and makes us better. There was a study done where very, very, very sick patients were rolled outside into the sunshine and into the rose garden, and they got better. They were inside getting all these drugs, not getting better. They go outside, whoop, they got better. I don't know the outcomes of that, but certainly there is great value in nature and in being in nature. I remember laying on a beach once and listening to waves and a breeze flowing over my face, how wonderful it was. I remember being in the mountains and a mountain stream coming down the side of the hill. I remember thunderstorms and just lovely, cool breezes. The sounds of nature, they just make you feel better. So be in nature. So, am I a food addict? Yes. Have I gotten over it? No. I'm like all other addicts, one day at a time. What do I do about it? I try to figure out what is the right dietary regimen and amount of food for me. I stick to my guns as much as possible, but after 30 minutes, if I am indeed really hungry, I will allow myself a little snack. Most of the time, I don't require, in fact, it's been forever since I've required that, to tell you the truth of the matter. Sometimes I will go out into the world and I'll think, oh, it might be getting hungry. I don't know if I can go swim now. And I thought, you don't get hangry anymore, go swim. And I do. And when you maybe even think you're getting hungry, all of a sudden you're swimming and you're not hungry at all. Life is great. And you can be so proud of yourself because you've done so much to take best care of you. And that's how important you are. Eat very slowly. Chew, chew, chew. Cannot over chew your food. Eat to satisfaction, not to fullness. Hard to do, especially at the beginning. Um, Consider mindful eating, trying to pay attention to the food and the joy of this moment. Find other things that create joy in your life that not involved with eating, and go out and do them. Be in nature for a period of time. When you're feeling, I don't know what to do, I think I should eat. Eating usually makes me feel better. Maybe I should eat. And what is it you really need? What is it that you physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually need right now? Maybe it's a hug. I learned the other day that when people hug each other, we have certain receptor sites, like on our backs, on part of our arms, that when they are touched and stimulated, it makes us feel good. So, isn't that interesting? So, find someone to give you a hug. That can really do wonderful things. Make a phone call. Just get outside. There are probably many, many other ideas that you probably have that are better than what I have to think about and to continue in your life besides eating. Find the joy of something outside of food. Feel free, this may or may not work for you, to keep a food journal. You can journal on sleep, you can journal on food, you can journal on exercise, you can just journal how you felt that day. Oh, today I overate and I felt like this. Today I figured out the magic in my life and I felt like this. Um, Needing extra help? Well, what's a 12-step program of addiction all about? Giving your problems to a higher source, inviting that higher ability into your life and into your world. And I do the same thing. I do it with prayer and meditation, and boy, does it work. But I do get very, very lazy from time to time and fall off of the bandwagon. I don't know why, because when I religiously meditate, it just, I don't know if you ever felt like you're, especially in the afternoon at a busy day of work, like your head's swirling and ideas are running amok and you think this, that, and the other thing, and you almost have a headache from all the weird things that you're thinking. Well, that all goes away with meditation, and you have much clearer vision, and it's lovely. So, I hope that this conversation may have helped, and I hoped I included most of the ideas. There is one idea I haven't mentioned yet. Some people talk about intuitive eating, and some people are really on the wagon for intuitive eating. And I know part of it is trying to make nothing off limits, because once you say I can never, then you want to. And so there is some validity in that. I heard it better stated by on a podcast. A physician said, um, "Don't say I can never have this, because there may be a time and place that you will have a little bit. And if you're going to say I can never have it, then never have it. Make it one way or the other, but don't demand that you can never have this if you know you're going to fail, because all you're doing is making yourself feel bad. So don't do that. That's ridiculous." And I thought, to me, that one pleasure that may still be considered a processed food that I do have, but I don't eat it every day, are date chocolate chips. And you might say, well, what's wrong with date chocolate chips? Well, any chocolate that has form to it has to have some form of oil, butter, or something. Probably has to have some saturated fat in it, or it couldn't keep the form. So for some of us who don't require a very heavy caloric load in life, that can tip us over the edge of too much. But I try to respect it, but I'll never say, no, 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 you cannot have date chocolate chips, because they're absolutely delicious. But I have to be careful, because they do feed my sugar addiction. And my sugar addiction's not necessarily gone. Addiction doesn't go away. We just allow it to hibernate so that we can do other things with our life and our world. And you need to feel really good about you. So, is intuitive eating good or bad? Well, it probably depends, once again, on you. I'm not thrilled with the idea, because if you are someone like I used to be, uh, I would intuitively eat chips or chocolate chips. Now, I would intuitively eat. I mean, you have to have an idea of what you should eat. Let's say I have had no fruit today, and I have a little desire for chocolate. I always have a desire for chocolate. What can I say? Well, I made a chickpea chocolate hummus. So have half an apple and chickpea chocolate hummus, and there's some cinnamon in the hummus, or sometimes I put a little more cinnamon on the apple. There you go. Chocolate taken care of, sweet treat with that delicious apple, as well as a banana and a few dates in the chickpea mixture. So, satisfied and ready to go on to the next adventure of life. That's the way to be. So, if you really have a good idea and you feel like this would be a good thing to eat, then it might be okay. But to me, intuitive eating is also supposed to be like a 2-year-old. Have you noticed how little kids, when they are not hungry, and maybe all they did was take 1 or 2 bites of their peanut butter and jelly sandwich, they are not hungry. They don't have time for food. They are exploring the world. They're going out to play, and they don't want to hear anything from you. And we're all, oh, you're not eating enough. We need to stuff more food down you. Why do we do that? Have you ever seen a 2-year-old starve themselves to death? No, and you never will either, because when they need to eat, they will. I have 2 younger grandchildren, and I get the biggest kick out of them, because sometimes we'll go out for a lunch or a breakfast, and you can always tell who's growing, because one child won't really care too much about their food, or have a really difficult time finding anything they want to eat, and the other child will eat half the plate of the first child who's not hungry, as well as everything they get, as well as part of grandma's plate as well. And why not? They're growing, they're hungry, they're still eating. It's just a very fun phenomenon. That's what I want to be like. I want to, oh, it would be a really good idea to eat right now. I'm really quite hungry. Don't tell yourself you're starving to death, or you're going to act like you have to have a mountain full of food. No, no. This is a good time to eat. I am hungry. I have not had any food for a number of hours, and this would be good. And then you eat, you enjoy, and now what is the next most wonderful, amazing part of life you can imbibe it at this time? So I kind of run amok with my mouth. And I've almost been sitting here for 30 minutes. I'm so sorry. But maybe there's something in my ideas that would help you figure out how to eat the best way possible for you, not based on somebody else's ideas, but just based on what you know is good for you. And here is to you, because where would the rest of us be without you? So, with love and appreciation in my heart for your listening today, and hopefully I didn't forget too much that I was wanting to talk about in terms of food addiction, just hang in there. Anything and everything is possible. And never, never doubt that you are so important. You deserve the best self care in the world. So, this is goodbye from Nurse Mary Jo. Have a wonderful, sunshiny day, and goodbye.